come back down to earth.
Sticking with Thursday Night Football, Von Miller promised a good old-fashioned butt-whooping earlier in the week, and then he went out and delivered a good old-fashioned butt-whooping. The Denver defense picking off Josh Rosen 3 times, bringing 2 of them back in the house in the first quarter. Also had 6 sacks, recovered 2 fumbles. Great night for the Denver defense. Rosen left in the 4th with a toe injury. He will be evaluated. The Case Keenums win big, 45-10. Here's Von Miller after the game.
Ain't no backing down now. And I think, we have a great football team. We got great leadership. We got a great GM, great owner, great coaches. And we got great players. And I just thought what we was missing is just the confidence part of it.
It's a team game, and I know my brothers would have my back. I obviously didn't play up to my standard or even close to it. But, that's why you play another one next week.
He seems to be very up in the air about, the difference between the pro game and the college game. It seems he was far more serious about the college game. The pro game, he said earlier in the week, remember, he's like, well, I'm taking this a little more freely. We got another one next week, so I think I'm maybe pitting myself to a corner here, but those were my original thoughts when I saw this post-game press conference. We'll get to that in a second. Last night's game, was it more about the Broncos' great defense or what you saw or didn't see from the Cardinals on offense?
Well, I think it's about both. Von Miller did make a statement. Very, very rare you see a player of his ability to take over a press conference and say what he's going to try to do during the game. And he put the message out there as far as the organization. We're a lot better. I expect a lot better, and it starts with me. I like that leadership that he provided, and he showed that. Like he showed from the beginning of the game, they were playing at a different gear than Arizona. Now, Arizona, with a rookie quarterback, this is one of the worst offenses that we've seen. In the first 7 games, they're averaging about 220 yards offense. Since the new millennium, since 2000, man, we've only had a couple teams now that played as bad as them. The Cleveland Browns, I think, in 2002. The Texans early there, 2000.
With David Carr.
Yeah, so this is a bad offense. Right now, in the easiest time to be able to throw the football, they're averaging 220 yards of offense. That's going to be a problem. And, Nick, I told you before the draft, all these quarterbacks, no matter where they go, a lot of their success will be determined on how much do they get hit in their rookie year. Because there's a couple of these kids, they grew up in a couple towns that end with beach on them. And I've been watching this game a long time. And you can get the football knocked out of you. So I'm concerned with that offense that's struggling, not only with the quarterback, that bad offensive line. They've been bad in that offensive line for a number of years. David Johnson, somehow they've made him disappear. And if
right after they paid him.
And if that quarterback continues to get hit, you're going to have problems in Arizona. You can't develop a quarterback with him getting up off of his backside.
Which is why, in order to try to get something out of this season, in order to try to get something out of David Johnson, and in order to try to make sure Josh Rosen does not have the football knocked out of him, I think they need to strongly consider a coordinator change in Arizona. And Mike McCoy is the coordinator there. Mike McCoy got famous for being the coordinator on Peyton Manning's Broncos teams. Now, every stop since then, he has chipped away at his own fame. He gets a head coaching job out of that, and we see the worst seasons from Phillip Rivers and the Chargers since Phillip Rivers has been there. He's a coordinator last year, gets fired during the season last year. Now he goes to Denver, and Coach Mangini mentioned this to me. Firing season opened when Tampa Bay moved on from their coordinator. Now it's open season. Stink said yesterday that if the Broncos if they lost yesterday, Vance Joseph's job would be on the line. Obviously, Arizona's not going to change their head coach. He's a brand new head coach. But when you are getting this little production from an offense that has David Johnson, that still has Larry Fitzgerald even in year 15, that has a receiver that I think is really interesting in Christian Kirk.
Yes.
I like Ricky Seals-Jones at tight end. Even if you think Josh Rosen, not you, but the generic you, even if you think Josh Rosen stinks, there's no reason the offense should be this uncreative, this basic in 2018. And so, you've got to do something there because your future investment is that quarterback. There are no great offensive linemen to be had. It's not like they're going to find a new right tackle right now. So I don't love coming on TV and calling for people's jobs. In fact, I don't know that I've done it more than maybe once or twice the whole time we've been on this show. But if Arizona decides in this long week to make a change at offensive coordinator, I don't know how anyone could blame them.
What about on the other side? Was this somewhat of a statement game from Denver, who really needed to win after losing 4 straight, or could you really not judge that because of who their opponent was?
Man, Denver has the capabilities. Now, are they going to be able to play defense the way they did a number of years ago? No, they're a talented team, but they're still challenged from an offensive standpoint. They got their running game going last night, but if you're going to win the turnover margin the way they did last night, the chance you win the NFL games are going to be very, very high. But I like the way they went about it. All right? You cannot rely on Case to be able to throw the ball 40 times. You have to be able to run the ball. Their offense played on a short field. They end up getting some big plays from their passing game. Those are all things that they weren't able to do. But in Denver, everything starts with Von Miller and that defense. So I like their whole attitude going to Arizona after being embarrassed the last couple of weeks.
And that is why it's, when we talked about Denver yesterday, it's so frustrating from just an NFL fan perspective that they have not been able to even come close to getting the quarterback position right. Because Von Miller is a superstar in this league. Von Miller is on a Hall of Fame track. Chris Harris Jr., the corner who had a pick-6 start the game yesterday, is having one of the best careers any undrafted player has ever had. Like, I mean, he's multiple-time All-Pro. I think a 3-time Pro Bowler. When he was there with Aqib, when Aqib Talib was there, I feel like coaches would have told you Chris Harris was the better player. Aqib Talib got more of the headlines, was maybe the flashier player, but Chris Harris, they were teammates at Kansas, Harris and Talib. Talib went first-round pick. Harris went undrafted. Harris has been great. You've got real pieces on this defense, and you saw it yesterday. And I want to give Von Miller a ton of credit because, to circle back to what we started with, he called a shot, man.
Yeah,
and if they lost, if they played poorly, if Josh Rosen carved them up, that's a tough press conference he's going to have to give after the game. He put it out there, and he delivered. He was the best player on the field from the opening snap last night.
And I just want to finish up by asking one more question about Josh Rosen. Is that offense hurting Josh Rosen, or is Josh Rosen hurting the offense?
It's hard to evaluate quarterbacks when they're under duress. So Josh Rosen should be a star in the NFL, like he should be, but you have to be able to support him. I believe they do have the talent with Fitzgerald, with Kirk, and some of the other young wide receivers they do have there. But you're not going to be able to evaluate him, and he's not going to be able to get his potential getting hit. Now, they better learn how to protect him. They better come up with a game plan, because he will not survive. You don't want to come out of this year with him wondering, oh, man, is he durable? Because those are going to be the next questions. He talked about how UCLA was a little easier. He wasn't as nervous. Yeah. Oh, we getting ready to find out.
Well, and Jenna, you made that point off the top, and I didn't react because I was trying to kind of fully understand what you were saying there with it. And he said yesterday, and you were right, we heard it yesterday, that at UCLA he was maybe a little more cautious because 1 loss in college football can eliminate you from national championship discussion. 2 losses can eliminate you from conference title discussion. In the NFL, that's not the case. But what he is going to learn in the NFL is multiple games with multiple turnovers can eliminate you from how your teammates are looking at you if they give you the best chance to win, whether or not they still have Sam Bradford there. Those are the types of things he's got to worry about at this point.
And also, just be careful as a fan. The last 2 weeks, very, very tough. In Minnesota, and then now with Denver. Collectively, those defenses are top defenses in the NFL. He's still a rookie. It's still, yet we need to see a larger sample size before we start giving up on Josh Rosen. I believe he's their quarterback of the future.
All right, let's take a break. Coming up, you'll never believe